Mancera Cedrat Boise is an amazing place to start for anyone getting into fragrances, or if you've been into fragrances for a long time, you do not want to miss out on this amazing fragrance right here, and today I'm going to detail why. But before I hype it up into oblivion, yes, I will be addressing rumors of reformulation, because this is one of the magnetic cap batches, which apparently has less performance, but we're gonna get into everything. Before we get there, I'm gonna show you exactly how this amazing fragrance is presented to you. Made in France in 2011 by Pierre Montel. Cedrat Boise translates, I believe, to woody citron. Yes, it does sound better in French. This is what the box looks like. So this is a very standard looking box with some patterning going on here. This is exactly what the label on the bottle looks like. On the back, little information there, including the ingredients, barcode. On the bottom, some of that stuff there. Very standard. But when you open this up, this is when the true luxury comes into play. The fragrance is presented in a nice sleeve. Point of the sleeve, absolutely nothing. You now know that you've dove head deep into the deep end. This is your first entry to niche fragrances. Congratulations. There's no going back. When you take it out of the sleeve, you're presented with a somewhat familiar bottle, slightly different than previous batches, but we'll get there in a second. On the front, Mancera Paris, the name of the fragrance. This is Eau de Parfum concentration. The cap, probably one of the best parts besides the atomizer. We're gonna get there in a second. Metal, it's somewhat heavy. It has the Mancera logo on the top. You get a strong magnetic cap. Just listen, just listen. That is true fragrance ASMR. But what adds to that ASMR? This pressurized atomizer. If you don't know what a pressurized atomizer is, it means you can control exactly how much that comes out of it based on how hard you press. Little press, little bit. Hard press, fire hose. The older bottles had a screw cap, so you literally just screwed this off, and the atomizer was pretty garbage, in my opinion. This is a huge step up. Obviously, bottle and box could not mean less. You could consider this a magnetic cap batch. There's pre-magnetic cap and there's post-magnetic cap. But this batch code is 23D102B. Before I detail what I get out of Cedrat Boise, I want to detail the listed notes. The top notes are Sicilian lemon, black currant, bergamot, spicy notes. The mid notes, fruity notes, patchouli leaf, water jasmine. The base notes, cedar, leather, sandalwood, vanilla, white musk, and moss. What do I get? A bright, fruity, sweet, woody scent profile. That's the plain, most simple way to put it. That brightness is from some of that citrus there, but I wouldn't say that the citrus is overly detectable. Picture a bowl full of fruits, but there's a little bit of lemon. Very, very smooth and mass appealing. This is considered a niche fragrance. Most niche fragrances are more experimental because it's more for enthusiasts. I think that this is a good gateway frag. Later on, you are gonna pick up some of that leather, a little bit more of the woods, and some of that sandalwood. When I first sprayed this formulation on, it was more earthy green and patchouli heavy. When I smelt my other friend's bottle of this, that was blended better. Since this became so popular, it has kind of been rushed off the production shelf. They haven't really sat for long enough. So when you do let it sit for a bit, the scent profile does become more smooth. A lot of people think that maceration doesn't help. In this, it does. And it also helped in the performance, which I'm gonna touch on. Some people will say that this is a feminine leading fragrance. I think because of some of the woody, leathery, kind of smokier accords to this fragrance, I think that it comes across as a very masculine fragrance. If you want to wear this and you're a female, go right ahead, don't let me stop you. Now, when I think of the age group that this would be fitted for, I think of 25 plus. You can dress this up, you can dress this down. You can wear it casual, leisure, or you can wear this business formal. This is going to take you through a lot of different situations for different reasons. And it does smell of high quality ingredients. And because of that, I can also say that it's going to take you through pretty much every season. I've worn this in the cold of the winter. I've worn this in the high heat. I think it does do best somewhere in between there, but it is seasonally versatile. There is an intense version of this that I would say is what I would recommend for the colder weather, like very, very cold weather. This gets a big comparison to Creed's Aventus. I'm gonna say straight off the bat, it's in the same direction as Creed's Aventus, but in my opinion, it smells nothing alike. Maybe there's like a 15 to 20% similarity if I was to really, really think about it. In fact, I'll go as far as saying this is a lot better. You're getting a smoother scent profile here. The price point is better, and I think that this is more mass appealing. It does do the same things as Creed Aventus, but in my opinion, it's a completely different fragrance. Let's touch on the performance. This is where I think that most people are gonna tap out because people have been informed online that as soon as they changed this to a magnetic automatic cap. The performance sucks. It doesn't last more than 30 minutes. Here's what I'll tell you. When I first sprayed this on, I must admit, I did agree because I didn't let the fragrance sit long enough first. After I let it sit for a bit, all of that changed. I got around 2.5 hours of a strong projection. It's not a beastly projector, but it is a strong projector. You will make your presence known with this fragrance. After about 3 or so hours, it's gonna sit a little bit closer, still getting more than a foot projection. Somewhere around this range, you're gonna pick up more of the fruity elements of this. That bright citrus does disappear. Slightly after that 3-hour mark, I noticed that a little bit of a smoky nuance appears. This is where some people will say it gets kind of like a burnt ashtray type of smell on their skin. I totally get what you mean. It's not a burnt ashtray smell. It's more like a campfire smell. Burning woods or something like that, you know? It's more of a skin chemistry thing, but that is something where I would say some people can either love or hate that. I love fragrances with smoky notes in them. Now that's gonna all last until around the 6-hour mark where it's gonna start to become a little rougher. I think this is where the leather starts to come out. The woods are more pronounced. The fruity notes take a little bit of a backseat. That sweetness is now behind there, and a little bit more prominence of that smokiness. I had a woman tell me that I smelled like I was sitting in front of a bonfire at this point, and you know, I totally understand. It's not very prominent off of my skin to my nose, but she picked up on this, so keep that in mind. Now after that, I think that it started to disappear in the 7 to 8 hour range. Performance was mixed. That type of performance, that type of longevity, you never usually get out of a citrus dominant fragrance. And I was really hesitant on pulling the trigger for Cedrat Boise because what a lot of people said online. I fell into that, and I gotta say, you're wrong. A scent profile like this is something that people will go anosmic and nose blind quickly to. If you're to test this fragrance, I highly recommend spray it on your forearm and keep that away from your nose as long as possible and smell it after a couple hours, and you will see it is still there. When you spray it on your neck, all that filters up to your nose and it burns your nose out really quick. It happens a lot to me on fragrances like this, and I did go nose blind to this fragrance a couple times, sometimes after an hour. To address if reformulation did affect this fragrance, I highly doubt it. Maybe the juice color was a little bit darker in older formulations. That is also something I should let you know, but I really don't think that performance has been affected here. If it has been, maybe you're losing like an hour of longevity and maybe a slight amount of projection towards the mid dry down. It is still a performer. It is still quite strong. You will not be disappointed if you let this sit for a bit. Price point. This is one of the best parts of Mancera in general. You can buy this fragrance for less than $100 USD. I bought this for $105 Canadian on Fragrance Buy. I think it was worth every penny. It's to the point where if someone asks me, what is one fragrance I should get? I just want one fragrance. There's a good chance I'm going to recommend this. This is an incredible scent profile, and in fact, it's one that I always gravitate to. When you have hundreds of fragrances, you're going to find yourself gravitating to something more often, and this is Cedrat Boise for me. I cannot wait to try more of Mancera's fragrances because this was such a good introduction to the brand. Out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Spray that like button and subscribe if you like honest fragrance content. And if you've had a problem with the reformulation, let us all know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you like fragrances like this, or you like the sound of this, I highly suggest that you check out this fragrance right here.